Alright guys, this is my regenerative garden. So with regenerative gardening, you don't need pesticides or fertilizers. So that's one of the big attractions to it, especially these days with all the uncertainty going on. These are my peas. See if you can. These are sugar peas, or the type you pick while they're young like this, before they get all large. That way you can just cook the whole pod. That's what I like about that. It's much easier. I got some rutabaga, string beans. They're just starting to come on here. This will be my first picking here pretty soon. Celery. That'll be ready here in about a week or two. Got some small pepper plants there. They go in a little later because they like the warm weather. There's my early cabbage I put in. I like to do recessive planting, so here's some later cabbage. This is spaghetti squash. All this is no fertilizer, no pesticides. You can see everything looks very healthy. It's a lot of compost making. Here's my tomatoes. I tried something different this year. I'm putting them in like clusters. I'm thinking about putting wood chips in between, and then maybe every 3 years rotating, move them over where the plants are now is where it'll be the empty spot. This is where I can get my ladder in there and work on them. They get like 12, 13, 15 feet tall sometimes. It's crazy. Stay tuned for that. I just put this strawberry patch in last year. I got the first round. It was all the strawberries I could eat for like a month. Look like that round these are ever-bearing strawberries, so they're supposed to keep coming. I could see they're starting to reflower now. I'm thinking about cleaning up really well in here and maybe putting some wood chips in, because some of them were laying on the ground. They were kind of rotting, so I think maybe if I put wood chips in there, they'll keep better. They'll be better looking there. So there's a tree growing in there. This is just an experimental little pot here. Seems to be working out pretty nice. Another rutabaga, some more celery. I let some native flowers grow from just naturally out of the garden to attract the pollinators. And I don't know if this is some kind of crazy thing here, but these are I let a couple of my garlics go into seed because I want to do try seed saving with the garlic. This garlic is taller than me here, so I don't know if you can see that. But it's taller than me. I'm 5.5 feet tall. I'm not that tall, but still pretty tall. Yeah, I'm gonna let that grow to seed and experiment on that next year. What I do with these is I pull them up. I'm gonna be pulling these up today because they're pretty much ready. And then I cure them, hang them in a cool, dry place to cure. Right after I pull them out, I put string beans in. I have string beans I started in my indoor garden. I could do separate videos on that. I could do separate videos on all these different things, like curing the garlic. I soak garlic in honey. It's supposed to be really good for you. That's main reason why I grow it. After about 3 months, it gets edible, and then after about 6 months, it tastes like candy. And the longer the better. I've had it like over a year. It just gets better and better tasting the longer it soaks in the honey. Let's see. There's some more. This is my dill patch. It just comes back every year. But this year I didn't do pickles, so I just put some other stuff in there and just trim back the dill. More cabbage, carrots, rutabagas, some more peppers. This is my watering system. I could do a whole other video on that. I could do a couple videos on the watering system. All it took. I went through a lot of crap trying to figure out how to make this work, so I could help you guys to where you won't have to go through all the crap. Just show you, tell you what to do. This is some composting. I could do videos on composting because this is all about making good compost. That's how the health of the plant is why you don't need pesticides. The healthier the plants are, the insects pretty much have to leave your plants alone because they know they can't digest it or they'll get sick. It's something called the brick scale. You can look that up. Brick scale. There's some better peppers. And these are, I did something different last year when I collected compost and threw it in here and where my garlic is, and that's why everything seems to be growing better right here. So yeah, that's kind of an introduction to my. These are what do you call them? Asparagus. I just kind of letting it go. I think it looks pretty. I haven't gotten around. I work 50 hours a week, so this is all just. It's not perfect, but you can see. In the fall, I put leaves. I put down a fresh compost if I have it, and then in the fall when I'm gathering up, I clean my neighbors' yards up and stuff for the material to make compost with. And what I do is I put a layer of ground up leaves that you pick up with a mower, like how it grinds it up, and I put that down. And what that does is that protects the life that's in the soil, natural life that's in the soil, and that's what makes everything grow so well that you don't need pesticides or fertilizers. So I can get into more detail on that if you want. Just go ahead and let me know what kind of videos you want me to do, what kind of details you want me to get into. I could do videos on compost making, the garlic processing I do. Oh, there's potatoes over there. I didn't mention that. And then here's my raised bed. I built this like 3 years ago, and I like to keep it. I grow this all winter long. See there's an old school lights on there, Christmas lights, and there's double layer. I put a double layer, an inside layer and an outside layer of plastic. And I have inside outside thermometer on here so I can tell the difference. And I've come out here and seen like 25 degrees difference. Like first thing in the morning, it hit 0 a couple times, and I come out here and it's like low 20s. And I just put cold tolerant crops in there in the summer, or I'm sorry, in the winter. Like beets, carrots, things like that. Things that can take cold. And I like to kind of keep it going. So I can get into how I keep it going with the compost, how I add the compost. I use the I do. Uh, sorry about that. This is urban regenerative gardening here. So, anyways, where I put the potatoes, that's where I like to add the compost. That way I can have something in there and add at the same time. You know how you're supposed to mound up around your potatoes? Well, I let them go so far, and then I put like 3 or 4 fresh inches of compost in there, and that kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. It gets added because it kind of settles down over time, and it helps me get more potatoes too at the same time, so it works out really nice. But that's kind of a lot of details. I just wanted this to be like an introduction video, so I'll show you where I put my compost. Some more native flowers. Here's where I do my compost. This was a fresh one I made this year. It's about a month old. This is from last fall. It's like ready to be sifted. I sift it out and then put it into the garden wherever it needs to be done. And another thing I like to do is I get wood chips from like the local town place, and every year I get a big pile. And then when the pile is 2 years old, it's basically like 50% or maybe more done compost. All you have to do is sift it out, and it was probably over 50% this year. Just finished compost. All you have to do is sift it, and it's a really good compost. It's called humus. Wood chips is humus, and that's like a step up from the compost that you make when you combine the grass clippings and the leaves. These are leaves that I collected from my neighbors and my leaves last fall. Getting a little bit low right here. It was 3 times that a couple months ago. But, so, yeah. I guess this is going to be an apiary someday. This is garden scraps. I rotate the garden scraps, like from one side to the other. That was that side last year. Just basically about fall, I cut it off and I kind of go over here. And now next year, I leave this alone for a year. Next year, that'll just be ready to just make compost with. So I just rotate back and forth. And I'm thinking about making a separate one for, like, I do bone broth and things like that. When I'm done with the bones, I'm thinking about doing a separate compost pile for that, and then eventually letting the bones kind of decay, and then I can kind of smash them up into little bits somehow and spread the dust into the garden, and that'll be another amendment to the garden. So that's about it. Stay tuned. Let me know what kind of videos you want, what kind of details you want me to get into, what kind of videos you want me to make. Yeah, anyway. I'm looking at my phone the other side, so alright. This is my first video. Okay, so like I said, let me know what you want me to talk about. Bye.